It appears we're getting a new Hellboy movie. This will be the third incarnation of Hellboy. And I find that pretty wild because we just got one not that long ago. And today we have got a first image of the new Hellboy and a trailer. So I just want to dig into all that and kind of give you my thoughts on what I think. Currently, the trailer is nowhere except for on the outlets that apparently it was released to, but it's not on YouTube or streaming anywhere that you can find it really easily. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys that first and then dig in a little bit deeper. Make sure to like, subscribe, all those fun things on YouTube, and comment because it helps us out a whole lot and helps this channel grow. And as usual, make sure to visit criticalist.com or find us in the app stores for Android and Apple. We are an entertainment reviewing platform for talking about movies and entertainment, and most importantly, reviewing them. You can make lists, join groups, do all sorts of fun things. We're just harkening back to the old school MySpace days, so make sure to come over, create yourself an account, and just say hi.
Something in these hills. Something haunted. Evil. It smells like death.
How do you know that?
Dark things called dark things.
I heard tales about him all my life. Most just called him the Crooked Man.
We've got company.
All your friends, they all gonna die.
If you aren't familiar with Hellboy by this point, then either you're fairly young or you've probably been living under a rock, because the series has been around for quite some time now, and it is to varying degrees of success, honestly. This was early on in Guillermo del Toro's career when he created the first two Hellboy movies, this one, Hellboy 1, and then Hellboy 2, The Golden Army.
Oh well, let me go in and say hi.
Now, these are at, like I said, varying levels of success, especially to people because a lot of folks really loved the first one, and then it was mixed on the second one, which is actually my favorite of the two films. And then it was followed up by this one, starring David Harbour, which was really poorly received, absolutely bombed at the box office. This came out in 2019 and just went in and out with a whimper.
Who you calling monster, pal? You look in the mirror recently?
Didn't really do a whole lot at all, and I haven't really heard much good at all about it. I mean, we have mostly bad reviews here in Criticalist, except for one, but I never watched it, and I'm a little bit intrigued now after seeing this trailer. But after seeing the trailer, if you've seen these other movies, then you know that this is quite a departure from anything that's been made thus far, and I actually think a bit closer to the comics. And this, Hellboy the Crooked Man, is actually based off of a specific comic that came out quite some time back. Here's the cover right here, and it's about the Crooked Man and actually some witches, and this is clearly a much smaller tale, which has me interested for sure. Now, what ComingSoon.net and many others are reporting on here is the actual plot, which is that it's stranded in 1950s rural Appalachia. Hellboy and the rookie BPRD agent discover a small community haunted by witches, led by a local devil with a troubling connection to Hellboy's past. Now, one of the things that has me most intrigued is the fact that this is very much kind of a smaller indie film that's very different from what the other ones were, and I think that this might actually be a good approach for this series, is to start more contained and smaller. We have an unknown actor, and we actually have a smaller company putting this out, which is Ketchup Entertainment. As far as I know, they haven't put out anything extremely notable that you would recognize, but it doesn't mean that this can't be the first thing to really jumpstart them. I mean, granted, they are this, smaller indie studio, but you can have smaller hits like this attached to a bigger franchise that then can grow this indie studio forward. And I think that starting small like this with practical effects and just keeping it a little more simple is kind of the way to go, and then grow from there versus, what happened with the last film that had David Harbour in it, where right now this is actually going to be starring, actually the only recognizable person for me is Jefferson White, who's from Yellowstone. Now, Jack Casey is going to be Hellboy, but everybody else seems to be mostly unknowns, which I think is a pretty really cool approach for this series as a whole. Now, there was a little bit of odd news about this movie, and the only reason that I even knew that it was being made is because there was a hubbub several months ago about them thinking that it was going to be using a whole bunch of AI art and AI things to help be input into this film, and it sounds like that's actually not the case. Brian Taylor actually stepped in, who directed and co-wrote the film with actually the writer from the comics, and which is promising. Mike Magnola is attached to this as well, but he basically commented and said the whole AI hubbub was not real, it was misinterpreted, and this is all practical effects, and they are very proud of it, and that there is zero AI happening in this movie, which is good news to most folks who don't want AI to be shoved into film, especially at this point yet, because it's just not ready for starters. But also it just takes away jobs and all that. But my down and dirty thoughts on this trailer are, so far I like it. I think it looks pretty cool. I like the look of Hellboy. He's, you know, a little bit more grounded and normal looking versus the, you know, when they tried to reboot the film and made David Harbour look extremely gritty and kind of just very demonic looking, I guess is the best way to put it, which was kind of a cool look. But I like this. He seems to have more of a normal voice, not quite as gruff and raspy as the other two, but I think it looks like Hellboy, and I'm definitely intrigued. This horror take seems fun, and I will hold out until, you know, the movie comes out and I get to see more, but this seems neat to me, and I'm definitely willing to give it a try. So I'd say we just wait until the film comes out. It looks like it's, you know, pretty well along the way, and I think it's coming out this year from everything I've heard, so I'm all game for it, and I want to see it, and I hope that this helps this indie studio, and I hope that this helps build a new franchise versus the last one, which just didn't do a whole lot. I think that this is a really cool world, and there's a lot to explore, and it's cool to see it grow from this point and a smaller scale film, so I'm down for it. Let's do it.